Good day, Deep and Word family. Welcome to day 112 of our Bible study review. Today we're going through 16 through 18 of 2 Kings. Chapter 16 opens up with the southern kingdom of Judah, and the king over that territory is Ahaz. Ahaz is 20 years old when he becomes king, and he reigns for 16 years. And it's during this time that both the king of Israel of the northern tribes and the king of Syria is coming against Judah. Now Ahaz feels like his back is against the wall, so now he calls on the king of Assyria to come and help him out. So let's read about this. Let's read verses 7 through 9. So Ahaz sent messengers to the king of Assyria, saying, I am your servant and your son. Come up and save me from the hand of the king of Syria and from the hand of the king of Israel, who are rising up against me. Then Ahaz took the silver and gold that was found in the house of Yahuah and in the treasures of the king's house and sent a present to the king of Assyria. So the king of Assyria listened to him. The king of Assyria went up to Damascus, captured it, exiled the people to Kir, and killed Rezin. Rezin was the king of Syria. Please don't get Syria and Assyria confused. Then Ahaz goes to meet with the king of Assyria, the one who helped him out, and he goes and he sees his altar. He loves the altar that the king of Assyria has, so he sends the pattern of the altar back to the priest back in Jerusalem, and the priest gets to work to building this pattern of this altar. And then when Ahaz gets back to Jerusalem, he moves the altar of Elohim, Yahuah Elohim, and replaces it with the pattern of a different altar. Do y'all see this? He starts offering on this new altar, and then he removes the sea, right? The sea that's on top of the 12 oxen, the bronze basin of sea. He removes that and he replaces it with stone. He's trying to impress the king of Assyria, and he is forsaking the pattern of his own God. After this, it just says that he dies and his son Hezekiah reigns in his place. But do y'all see, ancient Israel wanted to be like the other nations so bad, they kept forsaking their own Elohim and followed after the pattern of other nations. Chapter 17 now focuses on the northern kingdom of Israel, right? And we see that there's a new king, Hoshea, or Hoshea, just depending on how you pronounce it. But he does evil in the sight of Yahuah. He becomes the servant to the king of Assyria. But the king of Assyria finds fault in him. He says, you've been bringing me gifts, and I have seen that you have now sent gifts over to the Pharaoh in Egypt. Are you trying to build another political alliance outside of me? And the king of Assyria did not appreciate this. So yes, he put the king of Israel, Hoshea, in prison. And then he captured Samaria. And then he exiled the citizens to Assyria. In verses 5 through 9, we see that the king of Assyria exiles the northern tribes, the 10 tribes, into Assyria. And the reason for this is because they were not true to their covenant. They tried to imitate the nations. They served other gods, right? We see that they built foreign altars, and they took the sacrifices and the blessings that Yahuah Elohim gave to them, and they offered it up to other deities, which we know are demons. And it also says that they ascribed things to Yahuah that he said were not for him. At this point, he had had enough. It's time for them to get up out the land. He sent the prophets to them, but yes, they killed the prophets. They were not faithful to Yahuah. He says, I've tried everything. I've been merciful. I've been patient. And now your time is up. Then we see that the king of Assyria brings a foreign people into Samaria, and they dwell in the land. But because they don't know the law of the God of that land, it says Yahuah sent lions and tore many of them apart. And the people came to their senses. See, back in the day, people understood that gods were local. We know that there's no other God except Yahuah Elohim. But they served local deities, demons. And those foreign deities, they demanded sacrifices, blood sacrifices. Demons feed off of blood. Why? Because the life is in the blood. All right, let's move past this. So the people told the king of Assyria, look, we're being torn apart because we don't know the law of the God of this land. And so the king of Assyria sent back one of the priests, and the priests were teaching these new settlers, these people who are not Israel, the laws of Yahuah Elohim. So they learned about his laws, but they were not loyal to him. They still served their own deities. They still did their own thing, but they also so-called served Yahuah Elohim as well. Let's close out chapter 17 with reading verse 40. But they did not listen. Rather, they were practicing their former customs. So these nations feared Yahuah and were serving their carved images, both their children and their grandchildren, as their fathers did. And so they are doing till this day. Now we open up chapter 18 and we see the king of the southern kingdom of Judah, who is Hezekiah. We talked about it at the end of chapter 16, but did not go into depth. We just know that he overtook the throne after his father Ahaz died. So Hezekiah, he's 25 years old when he takes to the throne, and he reigns for 29 years. Hezekiah is recorded as a good king. He follows after Yahuah with all of his heart. But we know that his father Ahaz actually relied on the king of Assyria to help him out. So now it says within the 4th year of Hezekiah's reign, this is the time when the northern kingdom is being plundered and Israel has been brought away to Assyria. And then 10 years later, it says in the 14th year of the reign of Hezekiah, the king of Assyria now comes up against Judah again, but it names a different king of Assyria. And this king wants gold and he wants silver and he demands it of Hezekiah. So Hezekiah starts stripping the gold off of the door in the temple and he gives it to the king of Assyria. But this is not enough for the king of Assyria. He sends more intimidation to King Hezekiah and he sends messengers to speak on his behalf. So they speak to the scribes, and he wants them to go back and relay this message to the king. And throughout this chapter, you just see the intimidation. Who is your trust in? Are you trusting in Egypt? And he's intimidating the people of Israel. Trust not the words of Hezekiah, saying that your God will rescue you from the hand of the king of Assyria. Have the other lands been saved by their gods against the king of Assyria? But the people did not respond to the messengers of the king of Assyria because King Hezekiah told them not to speak a word. And so after the intimidation was done speaking, the scribes came back to King Hezekiah and relayed the message. Their clothes were torn. They were in agony because of these words. Do you see that this is a picture of the enemy? The enemy likes to come in and intimidate, saying, oh, you won't be saved. You might as well bend your knee and just cave into the pressure. Your God is not going to save you. So the king of Assyria, right? He had already plundered the 10 northern tribes, dispersed them, scattered them, and now he's getting cocky. Now he's ready to come down to Judah and, run the same type of game. But that's not the plan for the southern territory of Judah. Although they will be exiled, they will not be exiled by Assyria. Deep in Word family, that's all that I have for you today. Until tomorrow, Yah bless.